recap from the Celtics and the Knicks. The Knicks won that game and advanced into the Eastern Conference Finals for the first time in about 25 years. And they are going to face against the Indiana Pacers, but they won over the Celtics by the score of 119-81. Story was the Knicks shot over 50% from the field, shot over 40% from the three, and the Celtics just couldn't rile up the emotions of what happened with Jason Tatum. Ruptured Achilles injury that couldn't cease to tantamount to carry them over in Game 6 at all. They struggled from the field. They went back to their bad habits, and they just shot the three ball out, aired it out of the gym, and just could not make anything. Jaylen Brown was the only one that was, in was one of the only few that was also in 20 points, double figures, and also with Al Horford and Peyton Pritchard. They was also in double figures. Only three players for the Celtics were, and that was pretty much it for them. While at least seven Knicks players were in double figures, including Josh Hart, Miles McBride. But Jalen Brunson and OG Anunoby pretty much had an amazing game. Defensively was what was impressive to me about the Knicks in Game 6. I didn't get a chance to see everything because of the cable, because of the transfusion, the cable that messed up our cable, and pretty much knocked out the whole power around in our area. So I couldn't get a chance to watch everything from the game. So I'm just letting you guys know from the recap from what I'm just telling you with the scores and the highlights. So that's why I didn't do a live stream the other day, a few days ago when it happened. So that's where I'm just gonna stand with that. Jalen Brunson, OG Anunoby had a really good game. Karl Anthony Towns did what he was supposed to do, go downhill, and he ended up getting 21 points in 35 minutes. Also had 12 rebounds as well. And I didn't even mention Josh Hart had a triple double, 10, 11, and 11. So that's what pretty much what did the Knicks in for that behalf. And so my thing is with the Knicks, they got to continue to ride momentum into the Eastern Conference Finals. They want to get to the NBA Finals, and that would be if they end up so happen to advance and go to the NBA Finals. It would be the first time in like so long, at least about 30, 31, 32 years. That would be the first time that they would advance, and that's just something that I don't think anybody would even expect going into the postseason. But it's what happens when you're in the playoffs, man. The playoffs is such a different atmosphere. It's unpredictable. Anything could happen at any given point. So if I was anybody, I would just be careful who I placing my bets on or putting the money line on, because boy, you're gonna be in for a rough taking. So yeah, the Knicks just pretty much just grabbed it, and this is one of the only few times where I've seen the Knicks fans be so live and so riled up and so wrapped up and so long, you know, and it just goes to show you that, especially even at the game in Madison Square Garden, the Knicks fans were so live and so riled up. It's been such a long time since the game has really shooken up where the Knicks is actually, more relevant and more relatively more in the news and more in the headlines because of they're a bigger market and because they're so known. But the addition of what happened with adding Jalen Brunson and the trade with Karl Anthony Towns and trading Mikal Bridges for like 4 draft picks, 2 first rounds, and I think 1 second and 1 third round draft pick, which was very huge for them. And that goes to show you of how much you got to pay attention really into the offseason, free agency, and also in the draft, because a lot of these teams, they want to get better and better at their craft, and teams that are going a lot younger, they're really showing you how much they got so much attrition, they got so much nutrition, they got so much durability, and of course the athleticism also plays a part as well. And with them is they last year they wasn't really healthy, they wasn't healthy or anything. They lost OG Anunoby against the Pacers in the conference semifinals. They lost Jalen Brunson with the injured hand. I think it was a fractured hand that pretty much prevented him from doing anything. Josh Hart had a abdominal tear, I believe. So they lost a lot of players at that time with the injuries, and that pretty much kind of bothered them the whole entire way. So that just goes to show you that they are a team that's going to be a force to be reckoned with in this postseason. So, for a lot of fans who may not be excited about them going, And of course, that they got to be, a lot of teams they got to be careful. And then of course, the Pacers, which I'll talk about them in the preview for the Eastern Conference Finals, they got to be careful because you don't want to prevent guys like OG or Jalen or Mikal Bridges to go off. So that will be my recap of that. Let's talk about. Hold on, let me get to that real quick. Let's see. Let me do this real quick. Just want to get the picture up for you guys. So yeah, my expectations for the Pacers and the Knicks, it's like I think this series is gonna go high octane, very fast paced. It's gonna be a series where you're gonna have a lot of, you know, high pick and roll screens, especially with Brunson getting picks from Cat or Mitchell Robinson. Then you're gonna have a lot of open looks for Mikal Bridges, and sometimes if OG Anunoby gets his good looks. But the Knicks have never faced a team like the Pacers, especially in these playoffs, where they can run up and down court, run up and down hill, and get to their spots at will. And that's going to be a thing that's going to be a problem for. That's going to be a thing that's going to be a problem for the Knicks. You got to deal with a guy like Tyrese Halliburton, who's 6'8", and like 98 pounds. Like he don't, but he can just get down the lane at will whenever he wants to. And not only that, and he pretty much is the floor general and creates a lot of space and creates a lot of room for them. So that's gonna be an issue for them moving. That's gonna be an issue for the Knicks. And also, you got Naismith and Nembhard who can create their own shot. Then you got guys off the bench like Opie Top and T.J. McConnell and Thomas Bryant, who was a really good addition. In regards to what happened with Jalen Smith and Isaiah Jackson, he has been a phenomenal addition and a phenomenal player because he also comes in and crashes the boards, crash the glass, get rebounds. He pretty much is just a problem and a nuisance for off the bench for a lot of opposing teams. And the rebounding for the Pacers has tremendously gotten better from the previous year, from the previous years, and that just shows you the young, maturity, development, and knowing that the fact that they may not been in as far as the top five contending against top five contending teams grabbing, hold of the lead of a 3-1 conference finals lead, but they faced against the top five contending teams before in the regular season, and they're proving that they can go toe to toe with anybody. And also the fast pace for the Pacers because they are probably one of the top five teams in transition and in fast break points because they got guys on their guard play like Nembhard or Naismith and Halliburton that get up and down the floor at will, and T.J. McConnell who can also do those things as well. And they also got streaky shooters from Ben Shepherd and Benedict Mathurin, who I didn't see in game, who got ejected in Game 4. Didn't see as much playing time for him in Game 5, but they really didn't need him. Even though they was down by 19 points in the first half, they just came back and willed their way back in, and just knew what the cost and what it takes. So that's gonna be a thing that's gonna be a big hassle. And also, what's gonna be a thing that's gonna be a problem for the Knicks dealing with them is the Pacers defensively has very much improved from the previous year before. Previous years, a lot of open lanes, a lot of trails to the basket, or you leave your open man, or open shooter open for the 3-pointer. That's not gonna happen in this one because the Pacers actually get back. They actually get back in transition. They actually get back to the 3-point line, and they make you take 4 tough contested shots, and that's gonna be a thing that's gonna be an issue for the Knicks as well. Is they're gonna have to take a lot of tough contested shots, and guys gonna get up in your grill. So if I'm the Knicks, man, I wouldn't just take the Pacers so lightly because they're gonna be something that's gonna be a big hassle. So Game 1, I could probably expect I would not be surprised if the Pacers come in and steal game one and force the Knicks to be as uncomfortable as they possibly can and play and force them to might play down to their competition. So we'll see how that goes, and we'll see how things play out. Now, and I also believe in my eyes that if you're the Pacers, you have got to take advantage of home court, because if you don't take advantage of home court, the Knicks can turn around and not only go up 2 games to nothing. The pressure will solely be on you. You got to take advantage of the home court and constantly put the pressure on them, on the Knicks, and constantly put the pressure on Jalen Brunson. Be a target in his airspace. Get guys on him and get him in his airspace. Force him to throw bad turnovers, make bad decisions with the ball, and just kind of just get up in his grill to just force things out of hand. That way you can make it more alive, make it more happen, make him more inefficient, and don't have him completely just taking over the crux or the 90% of the game down the stretch in the clutch and force him to get in foul trouble. And the same thing for Cat. You got to get them both. Got to get them both into foul trouble, because if you do, that pretty much messes up their mentality and takes them out their game and forces them not to come downhill towards the rim and play hard nosed defense, because they're in both Jalen Brunson and Cat will be both be in foul trouble. They can't play hard nosed defense if you got them in foul trouble. So that'd be the thing I would say for the Pacers. You need to probably look at the tape more and really start focusing on that and really start talking and going after both of them, because they're more liabilities when it comes to defensively speaking. So that would be my thing that I would say is a preview for them. Um, and my other thing for the Knicks is continue to ride the wave and ride the momentum and ride the fans and continue to put the team on your back and do the things that got you there and got you there over the hump. So if I was them and I was the Knicks, continue to move the ball, continue to get open looks, good looks, and try to be as aggressive as you possibly can and be open and active. So those would be the things that I would say is a key thing that for you guys to look at. Um, so tell me what you guys think down in the chat room. Tell me guys what you think down in the comment section as well. Who are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on the Knicks and the Pacers series, and who do you got winning this series, and how many games? And tell me why. I will be right back. Give me about 5 or 6 more minutes. I'll be right back. All right. Sorry about that, guys. I was just in the middle of taking care of some personal business. But anyways, getting back to the preview of the game, yeah, I think the Pacers will win this series, and it'll probably go maybe 6 or 7 games. Probably, I'll say probably 6 games at the most. I think for me, the thing that the Pacers have to do is continue to play at their pace, defensively get rebounds, and try to outwork them and get the Knicks into foul trouble. And that's pretty much how I can see that happening. The keys and the X factors to both teams for the Knicks, the X factor to me is OG Anunoby and Karl Anthony Towns. And for the Pacers, the X factor for them is Andrew Nembhard and I would say Obi Toppin. I think those two will probably be the X factors that pretty much will take over the game and put the Knicks into a bit of a bind, a bit of a crux. So I can see that happening, and I can see things actually going a bit because both teams are pretty much evenly matched on both ends. Both teams have really good guard play, and both teams, have size. But I think the Knicks have Karl Anthony Towns pretty much is the tallest guy on not only on their team but pretty much on the Pacers. And you have to have Pascal Siakam as well, who is like 6'9", 6'10". He would have to guard in the next big man, and pretty much Cat is pretty much bigger than all of them at this point. So yeah, I think that I can see the Pacers winning this series in like 6 games. But if it has to go to a game 7, it's gonna be very tough. But I think they can win it. But it's gonna be very tough for them. And that's just how I see the series playing out. Tell me what you guys think down in the comment section, and also in the chat room, as I will talk about the WNBA now, because that was on my mind. So let me do a quick WNBA recap and reactions from a few particular games in particular. So let's start with the Vegas Aces versus the New York Liberty. So the Liberty won by the score of 92-78 yesterday. I believe the season had started. Asia Wilson had 31 and 16. Chelsea Gray, she had 12 and 3 and 4. And Dana Evans was also in double figures as well, along with Jackie Young. But the New York Liberty pretty much got the scoring load from everywhere. And what really was the main key was Natasha Cloud, Kenny Burke, and Jonquel Jones. Her presence inside the paint pretty much was the difference. The Aces did not have no answer for her, and they didn't have no answer for also the people that was coming off the bench as well, like Kennedy Burke. She pretty much did a good thing, and Naira Sabali, she was really just on point as well in her 11 minutes of time, but she pretty much had an impact. But Brianna Stewart led the way. She had 25 and 8 in 27 minutes, so she was just pretty much all over. Her stroke from the field, she's probably one of the top mid-range shooters and probably one of the top perimeter shooters in the game. And still at her point, so she pretty much did her thing. And for the Aces, I think what's going to happen for them is they got to improve their inside paint presence defensively, and they got to get back in transition and prevent a lot of fast break points, because the Liberty was able to get at least about 30 to 35 fast break points. They was just all over. And they outscored the Aces in the second and fourth quarter, which pretty much made the difference throughout the game. So that's pretty much all I could say about them. And to me, they're gonna be a team. The Liberty's gonna be a team that's gonna be, forced to be reckoned. And of course, they had that championship mentality, so they got everything going on for them. So that's my quick thoughts about that game. Let's talk about the Minnesota Lynx versus the Dallas Wings. So the Minnesota Lynx won by the score of 99-84. Nafisa Collier and Courtney Williams pretty much led the way. Nafisa Collier had 34 and 4 in 32 minutes, and Courtney Williams had 25 points in 28 minutes. But also, the story of the day was Diamond Miller. She had 13 points In 20 minutes, she was just absolutely on point. And Jessica Shepard, she was just on point as well. And by the way, you forget that Nafisa Collier was just in the uh, uh, the Unrivaled, and her and Angel Reese pretty much were the story of the day for their team in Unrivaled. She completely did her thing, so Nafisa Collier is continuing where she left off in that Unrivaled 3-on-3 tournament. So she's pretty much on point with them, from them and then on here, coming back into the WNBA with the Lynx. And then also you got to look at for, with the Dallas Wings, I get it. You got your rookie Paige Buchers from UConn out, the champions from them, and then of course Arike Ogunbowale. Thing is about her is she had a okay game, and Deonya Carrington, she had an okay game, but you gotta have you're gonna have more contribution coming from them. And of course Maddie Segaris. A lot of these younger women, one younger woman stars, they gotta have to find a way to gel together, and by towards the latter half of the year and towards the latter half of the season, they're gonna find some way to gel together and pull themselves together and pull themselves together towards the end of the year. It's only the first game, so we're gonna see how much the Dallas Wings is gonna, a lot of those players is gonna try to connect and cope with each other and really like have the on string chemistry. So we'll see how that goes. But to me, they're gonna be a problem later on down the year. And as far as the Lynx, we'll see how they continue to to push and progress. But they're gonna be a team that's gonna be a problem as long as you got Nafisa Collier and the consistency from her, and of course the consistency from Courtney Williams as well. With those two locked in and synced in, that's gonna be a problem for them. And I would say, let's talk about the Washington Mystics and the Atlanta Dream. So the Washington Mystics won 94-90 over the Dream. So of course the story, Alicia Gray and Brittany Griner, they were pretty much the highlights for the Dream. Alicia Gray had 25 and 8. Brittany Griner had 18 points and 8 rebounds in 28 minutes. You're gonna have to get more from Brittany Griner as far as the rebounds goes. She got to be consistently getting and attacking the boards. Brianna Jones, she had a nice game. She was in double figures with 16 and 10. But for the Mystics, pretty much the story was Brittany Sykes. Brittany Sykes has just been sensational. Not even just from the previous few years I watched her play, but she's just been on point throughout. She's going to be on point, and pretty much is going to be the story throughout the entire year. Watch what I tell you. She's gonna be a problem for a lot of teams in the East. In that Eastern Conference. So that's gonna be a problem for them, man. It's gonna be a problem. She's gonna be a problem. It's gonna be a headache for a lot of women's guards that's gonna be facing up against her, man. So yeah, I would say, yeah, be careful, man. And this is just a starting point. So. Sonia Citron, she had 19 points. Kiki Efren, she had 14. And Sue Sultan, she had 13. So, yeah, a lot of contributions from the Mystics. At least about 6 players, or excuse me, at least 5 to 6 players were in double figures for them. So that would be the main story for them, and why I think it was very important for them to really get on point. The entire year. For the Dream, we'll see how it goes. So the thing is, are we going to get consistency from, Ryan Howard or, Alicia Gray and Nia Coffey? We're going to get consistency from them. We'll see. Are they going to be able to, step it up to the plate and continue to throw their hat in ring and throw a challenge? We'll see about them. And last but not least, I'll talk about is the Chicago Sky and the Indiana Fever. The Fever won by the score 93-58. I talked about yesterday that the Fever did not have, I believe they didn't have Sophia Cunningham, but it didn't really matter. It didn't make a difference. One, because the Fever pretty much was just stroking it from the 3-point line. They were stroking it everywhere, and their defense was absolutely on point. They completely neutralized Ariel Atkins, Kia Nurse, Rebecca Allen. They completely neutralized them, and Courtney Vandersloot. They completely neutralized them throughout the entire game. They didn't really have a good game at all. Angel Reese was the only one that was in double figures, but yeah, the Fever's defense was pretty much the story of the game as they completely just obliterated them. Shout out to Aaliyah Boston. You know, she was in double figures with 19 and points and 13 rebounds. She was just on point. Natasha Howard, um, she was on point. Kelsey Mitchell was really good as well. Caitlin Clark had a triple double, so she pretty much was giving it all. They were stroking it not only from the three, they were stroking it, from the mid range, getting turnovers and finishing in transition. So they were just pretty much getting it wherever they can. Uh, so, but the thing is though, with Lexi Hull, you got to get consistency from her, and I pretty much think they're gonna get that throughout the year. They're gonna get more scoring low from her when it's definitely when it's needed because you know 23 minutes, you only having 9 points. That's not like how I think that she's one of the better players on the Fever, and she don't get talked about, but you gonna have to really pull yourself in it and pull yourself together. And then for Dewana Bonner, you know she gonna have to get stepping up to the plate as well. But like I said, the Fever did a really good job just getting into their sweet spots and getting great looks from the field, moving the ball around and getting good open looks and getting good open shots. So that's just pretty much how I see that played out. I'm gonna talk about more of this stuff throughout more WNBA coverage throughout the year, and give you guys more information about that as well. So be on the lookout for that. But shout out to the Fever, they did their thing, um, and we'll see how both teams play out through the year. Definitely keep my focus and eye on the Chicago Sky and keep my focus and out on what they're doing as well. So yeah, keep on the lookout for that. So those are just my thoughts and my quick recap from today's from the NBA playoffs and the WNBA starting point this season. So yeah, I'll continue to do more coverage. So thank you guys for watching, continuing to watch, like, share, and subscribe. And I will talk to you guys in the next stream. So yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I'm out.